Do you know what your trauma score is? In this video, I'm going to take you through the Adverse Childhood Experiences test, and I'm going to give you 10 questions so that you can work out where on the spectrum of trauma you are, how it affects you, why it affects you, and what you can do about it. I help people to rewrite their stories, from trauma to transformation. And on this channel, we'll be breaking down the real stuff. We'll be going through trauma, codependency, addiction, abusive relationships, fitness. So if you're ready to change your life and not just survive it, hit subscribe and remember that you're bruised, not broken. And I'll see you after this. So my name's Troy Conchis and I'm an ex-Outlaw Motorcycle Club member, now a qualified counsellor and author of the best-selling book, Beyond the Back Patch. And today I'm going to take you through a talk that I usually do at workplaces. Just very briefly, I'm going to skim over it. I actually got it here so I don't miss anything really important. This study was done by Kaiser Permanente. I can never say his name right. The original study was actually the largest of its kind. It was done over 17,000 people and it looked at adverse childhood experiences. So things that may have been perceived or actual, and it's not your typical what you would usually think it was from abuse or neglect. Because you really have to remember that how you respond as a 3-year-old is totally different to how you're going to respond to something as an adult. The original thought on trauma was that you had to be blown up in a war zone to experience it. But we now know that as big T trauma, and now we can see that little t trauma is anything that gives you a long-lasting negative emotion consistently. And that is because the same things happen in the body and in the mind as what happens in that big T trauma, only it happens over a smaller scale over a longer period of time. In my opinion, I believe that complex trauma is a spectrum disorder and it goes along a line. Along this line, you have things like ADHD, CPTSD, PTSD, BPD, NPD, and everything of that nature. And it's all just along this sliding scale. They can all overlap. They all have a lot of the same traits and comorbidities. And it's important to remember that every single person has some form of complex trauma. It's only when does it become pathological, that's the difference. And here is something worth noting. Having childhood trauma makes you more susceptible to getting big T trauma later on in life. So I'll give you an example of that. Let's say there's a guy who's had the perfect childhood. He goes to the war, gets blown up in a Humvee 10 times, and he doesn't get PTSD. You know, he's just able to regulate, he's able to move through it, he's able to unpack it. And yet another person who's had a chaotic childhood goes through the same scenario, they're more likely to actually get PTSD as well. So usually if you have PTSD, there's a good chance you have a lot of CPTSD as well, because it makes you more susceptible to it. All right, so now the fun begins. I'm going to take you through the 10 questions on the Adverse Childhood Experiences test. Now, I want you to know that the average person usually has 2, maybe 3. If you get 4, then you're starting to go up pretty high, and I recommend that you see a psychologist and a GP. I'm going to read out these questions because I want to get them absolutely bang on as the test shows. Okay, and then after this, I'm going to take you through what this means for you and what you can do about it. If you have to hum and ha, it's a yes. First one, before you were 18, did a parent or other adult in a household often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you? Or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? All right, question 2. Before you were 18, did a parent or adult in the household often or very much push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that it left marks or you were injured? Number 3, before you were 18, did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have you touched their body in a sexual way or attempt or actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you? Number 4, before you were 18, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought that you were important or special? Or your family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, or support each other. Number 5, before you were 18, did you often, very often, feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect you, or that your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you, or to take you to a doctor if you needed it? Number 6, before you were 18, were your parents ever separated or divorced? Number 7, before you were 18, was a parent often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at him or her, or sometimes, often, or very often was kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard, or ever repeatedly hit over at least a few minutes or threatened with a knife or by a domestic partner? Number 8, before you were 18, did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic or used street drugs? Number 9, before you were 18, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? Number 10, and the last one, before you were 18, did a household member go to prison? I want people to remember that this isn't a competition on who can have the higher ACE score, because I have seen people argue about that. This is a score to just give you a guide. It's not a label, it's a guide, and it gives you somewhere where you can work on, and it gives you a sense of you should feel validated by your score. And then you can look at the statistics behind it and realize that this isn't a label. All these things happen to you, and now we have somewhere to work with. If any of these triggered you at all and brought stuff up for you, and if you have a ACE score over 3, I highly recommend you go to your local GP, you go and see a counsellor or a psychologist, get a mental health care plan, because there is a good chance you have some things that you need to unpack. Now, how do these scores affect you? That's a really, really good question, and I'm going to read off these statistics here. People with a score over 4, so it's not high. Anyone with a score over 4 is 3 times more likely to have an affective disorder, are 3 times more likely to have an anxiety disorder, 2.5 times more likely to have a phobia. They're 10 times more likely to have a panic disorder, 4 times more likely to have antisocial personality disorder. They are 10 times more prone to have self-harm, suicide attempts, cutting, and self-starvation. There is a 3 times increased likelihood that people will have hallucinations. You have a 200% increase in having diabetes, 275% increase in kidney disease, 250% higher chance of a stroke, 400% of a chance to have loss of vision, 250% more chance to have heart disease, 275% higher to have a heart attack, and 1,550% more likelihood of having a suicide attempt. If you have over 3 ACEs, you're 1 in 43 times more likely to use IV drugs. 1 in 9 are alcoholics. 1 in 9 smoke. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy statistics. And remember, this study was done over 17,000 people. And I think the last count, it was done over like 800,000 people. So these stats haven't changed the whole time. So they are pretty legit. Like, it's the biggest study of its kind. Trauma makes us store lots of chemicals in our body, and it does a lot of damage. It can cause autoimmune diseases and inflammation, and it just causes chaos. So the best way to do that is to burn these chemicals off. We do that through movement, anything. And for the mind, we can do things like trauma-informed yoga. A traditional martial arts has also been found to be effective. Both of these things actually got put in evidence-based treatments about a year and a half ago. They did get taken out, but there was something wrong with the study. It really doesn't affect the results, but they took it out anyway. They will be put back in, I believe, and I believe they should. So like I said before, see a psychologist, see a GP, Go and get a mental health care plan. If you're in Australia, I'm not sure what other countries have. Start doing some yoga, start doing a martial art, join a group, start giving back. Try and start doing things for yourself, and try and look after yourself the way you look after other people. Because if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure that there's probably a good chance that you get a lot of validation and a lot of self-worth out of helping other people. Well, now it's time to help yourself. And I want you to remember that you are bruised, not broken. So stop saying you're broken. Something happened to you, and anything learned can be unlearned. So make sure you go and put in the work and take some of those steps that I just gave you, because life outside of the trauma is absolutely beautiful, and it is not your personality either. And these are more topics that I'll be going over in future videos as well. If you like this video, please give me a like and a subscribe. This is going to be a first in a series that I hope to get out weekly. And until then, enjoy my shorts. Join my other social medias on Facebook at Complete Health Geelong, and then you can see what programs I run and all the free programs I do for the community. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some value in it. But now for even more value, if you comment bruised, not broken in the comments, I will send you a link and you'll be able to get a chapter out of my #1 best-selling book, Beyond the Back Patch, that teaches you about 16 types of traumas that you probably didn't even know were traumatic to you as a child.